All right, Judy Neville, Tom Schulte.
Here.
Amy Carroll's not here. Todd Lavieri, Michael
Here.
Penn, Chris Labrie,
Here.
Victor Alvarez,
Here.
Maria Weingarten. She's here. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Hamill,
Here.
Colin Dobbin,
Here.
and James Yao is
Not coming.
not coming. All right.
So no Amy, no
So,
James. We
you
need a
wanna
seat
yeah.
home for
Yeah.
Amy. Right.
So, yeah. we
So I
need
have a motion to seat Colm Dobbin for Amy Carroll.
So moved.
Tom second. Chris, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye, opposed, none? Okay, so moved. Okay. I need a motion
Are
to,
you gonna seat me or not? An alternate, just, you know.
yeah, just a second. Do we have, yeah, no, it's just,
we're full.
Oh, we are, okay.
Maria's shouldn't she? be
Oh, I
seated or
apologize. No,
not?
when she recused herself, I
Yeah.
think for this portion, Bob
Don't
needs to
we
be
see-
seated.
We
Yes.
need to see. That's what I
absolutely.
was, okay. All right, so motion
you.
to seat. Bob.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you, Bob. Okay, motion to seat Bob
Yeah.
Hamill for Maria Weingarten.
So moved.
Tom, second. Michael, all in favor? Aye, opposed? None. Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes, please, from the May 9th meeting.
So moved.
Any- Victor, second.
Second.
Tom? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay, so we're here to talk first about the application for 51 Main. And then secondly, we'll move into the public hearing and discuss with Tiger the sewer fee change and review all of that. So regarding the application for the change of use for 51 Main, all of you read Maria's memo, I assume, and analysis. I think I'll just to get the ball rolling. I think that given what Maria wrote and I thought did a great job laying it out, there really is no grounds for us from an approval point of view to reject the application for the change of usage. And so that's a proposal I'd like to make. Any discussion, any questions?
If I could just ask with respect to the memo, is there anything else the applicant owes you or you're waiting on? This would suggest there isn't, but there might be nothing more. Yeah.
Good question.
Okay. Good. I concur.
Yeah. well,
This is-
That's it. That's the.
This is the recommendation. I'm good with that.
Peter, anything else from your chair?
No, everything's good.
So what we'd like to do is, I'm going to read a resolution that I wrote and put that in the record of, and I printed it out for you as well, Tucker. That will act as the recommendation to vote on. Okay. So in accordance with the report from Maria Coplet, town engineer, and section 327 of the sewer use rules and regulation, the application by 51 Main Street LLC for a change of use, an increase in sewage volume for property at 51 Main Street is approved. The approval subject to compliance with the terms of the sanitary sewer connection summary report that was prepared May 10th, 2022 and revised Jan 9th, 2023 by DeAndrea Surveying and Engineering, including but not limited to the obligation of the applicant to disconnect and remove the existing 5-inch tile sanitary sewer lateral and replace it and relocate with a proposed 6-inch PVC sanitary sewer lateral. That's the recommendation and motion. I'd like a motion to approve.
So moved.
Victor, second. Michael, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? So moved.
Good.
Okay. Unless there's anything else, let's move to, would you invite Maria back in? Yeah, you know what, though, we're not going to seat her. I've got seated Michael or Bob here. I think Tucker, you need this.
Take my seat away.
Okay, so Tiger, over to you. Yeah. Well, everyone should have the, if you don't have the analysis, it's right in front of you. Easier to read
Paper.
on the paper. So Tiger, I guess we're looking for a couple of things. You did a nice analysis and walked through the changes, maybe by level, the dollars, a recommended percentage change, and then walk us through the recommendation for capital versus.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. So, well, this wouldn't have been possible without the help of Josh and Bob. They were, they've done all the heavy lifting. I get to deliver the message, but the heavy lifting was done by them. So we took a look at 3 separate fee increases from fiscal 24, from fiscal 23. Fiscal 23, we did not change the residential use fees at all. We did increase the commercial fees, but the residential fees were not increased. So we looked at a scenario of a 2.5, 3.75, or a 5% increase across the board for every category. The single families, the 2-family condominiums, and then the commercials, the 6 categories of commercial. To give you an idea, the difference between a 2.5% increase and a 5% increase for the lowest portion of the residential 1 category is either $10 or $15. The highest residential category is either a $15 or a $30 change. The reason that you see that is because we rounded to the nearest 0 or 5. So 9 went to 10, 13 went to 15. So you can kind of see where sometimes the change, doesn't look correct on a, from 2.5% of $10 and a 5% of 15. You think, there's something wrong with the math, but we just rounded it to the nearest whole number. So you can kind of see the difference in changes. It only becomes marked in the end when you get down to the commercial category 6 at that's the $10,000 category. That's our super user fee. And that if we went with a 5% increase, that would be a $500 increase year over year. The rest are quite nominal, specifically through the residential categories, and range from a high of 30 to a low of 15 at a 5% increase. At a 10% increase, it's either $10 or $15. To give you an idea, just as a point of reference, mine in Cheshire went up by $25 last year, and we've been pretty close to $25 every year, $20 to $25 every year. There we only have basically 2 fees, of single family home and then a multifamily home, and they're paid a little separately.
What was the 25 as a percentage of, Tiger?
My overall was $445. So it went from 420 to 445.
Okay, thanks.
So that kind of gives you an idea of where we are as far as where we see the fees should go. If we take a look at our expenditures and how we feel we should kind of break it all out, we were looking at if we continued at our current pace as far as our capital expenditure and our drawdown of our sewer fund balance, if we continued at that current pace, we would actually drain the fund balance, as we talked about, somewhere in the order of fiscal 27. We would go into the negative. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we have a healthy balance in case we need funding for something. So we looked at pulling out some of the monies, some of the capital monies into a bonded situation. And Josh kind of read you through that. As far as what we were looking to do, we looked to bond the $2 million INI study into the general fund, and then pick up approximately $400,000 per year of capital projects on the sewer side. About $100 or so of capital projects, anything under $50,000 would be paid directly out of the sewer fund. Before we went to a sewer use fee, we actually did something very similar. We would draw some of it out of the sewer balance and then capitalize the rest. So we would actually, depending upon the capital request, Some of it will be funded directly out of the fund. We would make a fund transfer. Bless you. And then the rest was paid for out of that year's taxes. Bless you. And then you would set the mill rate associated with that capital increase, sort of similar to what we do here as far as tax supported and bonded capital. Given the fact that we have this $2 million INI study, it's 4 years of $500,000. So what our current expenditure, our proposed budget is for that. That's quite a large number coming out of the plant. And we've had of late, the past couple of years, the exact same thing. But the plant was built in 98. We're at the 25-year mark. So we're past the point of where, large items are supposed to fail, or supposed to be replaced. We're replacing our UV system. That's fully funded. We replaced Clarifier 1 and Clarifier 2 is being replaced. Those are fully funded. And then some additional work on our grit screen, that's fully funded. So we're looking at the fact that within the next couple of years, we're going to see that drop back off again and come back down to a nominal level. In speaking with Nick Colabella, our plant superintendent, we have a slight uptick for our course bar screen in 26, and then that's for $300,000. But we go from a capital of 131,000 to 472. That's that uptick back to 200, back to 100. And at that point in time, that's in 28. And then we see we have nothing. We have $100,000 for sewer relining. That's it. We have no other capital in the budget at that point in time. We'll have something coming forward then, say pump replacement and things of that nature, but that's in the $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 range, nothing in the larger numbers. So this one uptick that we're facing right now, I think we can weather it by bonding some of it as proposed, and then at that point in time leveling back out again. So
do you anticipate that the INI study could disrupt this prediction that the big ticket items are kind of going to tail off?
It will not be
surprise us.
Yeah, as far as it's a great question. Thank you. As far as inside the plant, not necessarily. The INI study is strictly geared around the system itself.
Yeah.
So we could see some additional monies going into the system as far as what they might find. Inside the INI study is built in some maintenance already for manhole relining, certain things like that we might find. So it's already built into that 500,000 per year. But again, it might come forward and say you have a serious problem with this one main. You either need to reline it or replace it. So it could bring other items to light. That's correct. We have monies, $100,000 a year set aside every year for sewer relining, right, which that's trying to soften that blow a little bit, but we don't know, offhand. We'll know more as we get into it. But thank you. So I don't know.
What's the sewer fund balance?
Sewer fund balance right now is $2,394,193.
That's the,
I believe.
That's what we think we'll end up this year at. Yeah. Yeah.
When you say full year 23, is that June 23 or is that?
That's fiscal year.
Fiscal year.
That's the end of the year.
So it'll be in a couple of weeks.
2 weeks.
Right.
so the way this analysis goes, and this is very helpful, so thank you. But so if I have this right, so we were solving for how to prepare for these expenses going forward, anticipating that we might run out if we didn't take this action. And I see that that's all laid out in a way that we could solve for this if we were to treat all of the categories in a uniform way, with the paired columns being the 2 and 3 3/4 and 5.
Correct.
Right. But even though it's presented that way, there's nothing that compels us to treat all those the same. In other words, last year we only changed commercial, correct?
Correct. That is correct. I mean, there will be there
could be another way to do that, although I understand why you would have presented it this way.
Right.
Okay.
So that, the overall problem with that is we just need to make sure that however way we slice that cut, we make enough money to cover our operating expenses.
Right. We're still solving for the problem.
Exactly.
I get it.
And everyone's drawing on it, not just.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Right. The only thing we didn't propose to change this year was the septage fee. We changed it last year to 105 from 100. We're still in a sweet spot, as we talked about, with our neighbors.
Yeah.
If you were fair, you'd add 2.5% to it to bring it to 108. I feel we should stay where we are, see if our neighbors blink. And next year we can reevaluate. And at that point in time, go to 110, say an additional 5.
Yeah.
But I'd like to stay where we are and see what happens with Stanford, Darien, and others around us before we make that move. It draws a lot of revenue. It draws about $400,000 worth of revenue, and I don't want to cause them to go elsewhere and then lose that revenue because we tried to gain a little bit more 1 year over year.
And this model assumes it's 3.5 every year, right? In each one of the scenarios, it's a flat increase every year,
Correct.
but we could take it up 2% next year or up 5% if something
Right.
would happen. So we can literally,
Right, accelerate.
we're really only deciding today for this coming year, but
Right.
just to be clear.
Which I think is the better course of action. We did it in the past.
Yeah.
The first time we did it for a 3-year
Yeah.
option. I think it's better to go year over year and see exactly where we
Yeah,
are.
we can leave it up 3 next year, or we could go 2.
Question on that front. I mean, not that I'd want to do this on a regular basis, but if we all of a sudden heard that our competition, for lack of a better word, are up $10, could we do an intermeeting?
Yes, you can.
I mean,
There's nothing to set. The only thing that happens is you would make that recommendation and the Board of Selectmen would institute it. So we would just go back to the Board of Selectmen on a fee memo.
I mean, it's
But yes, if we saw. if we-
splitting
if our-
hairs, but
you know,
in a high inflation world
Yeah.
where everybody's raising price and we decide to hold still, be an idea anyway, just.
So I
So
mentioned
say
my-
we were thinking again, so we would vote on something tonight.
Right.
A month from now,
We
we'll
hear
see
that-
where things stand
Hear
and
that
say,
everybody just went up $10 and we're all of a sudden,
He's talking on septage alone.
yeah.
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah, just
flat,
the
we're
fee.
flat.
and we didn't do anything, right?
We
Yeah.
could follow, or we could take in more volume because everybody comes here. What,
Right, we technically
does
try
that-
just to handle just our own system and not let anyone come in from outside, but we're trying to avoid people being
Leaving
higher
our
than everyone
system.
else and people leaving.
okay.
But you're right, that's why I mentioned about.
We
seeing if our
allow,
neighbors.
do we have to allow people to come in? I just don't know the dynamic.
We try to limit it from the outside because we have a point where the septic load is quite large, as you can imagine, it's a plug. And there's a point where it actually, I wouldn't say it damages the plant, but it damages the biomass when it comes in, right? So we want to avoid going into an anaerobic situation. So if we get too much at one point in time and it's too hot out, then we've had to limit the amount that could come in,
Begs
couple
the
years
question
ago,
though,
same
if
thing.
all of a sudden we did have a bunch come in, would that harm the applications for these big projects that we have?
No, septic is totally
Okay.
separate as far as it goes.
But I try.
The,
So maybe the question is,
Cut it to zero and-
why stay flat? Why not go up 5%? Why not? Why?
I'm thinking the same.
You
thing.
can, I was trying to, like I said, I was trying to stay there where I didn't want to be. I'm at 105, everyone, highest around me is 110, others are at 100, some are at 105, I'm right in the middle. So if I go up, I start almost pricing myself out and it's a $400,000 nugget. If everyone leaves, I lose $400,000 worth of revenue. I get on septic fees, which I would,
Not talking about the sewer fees.
Right.
no,
No.
not talking about
Just
this. So I'm
go
just talking
different.
strictly septic.
Okay.
Well, I like Bob's idea. I think,
When-
I think you've got a good idea.
Yeah.
We
When
stay
they-
pat and then we can
know-
move it in a month from now.
Yeah,
Right, we'll
then
take
we're-
another look at what everyone else is doing. That's what I
Will
mentioned.
we know? I mean, is it a fiscal, like? does it
No, not
follow our-
necessarily, not
Then
necessarily.
we may not have any more info either.
And there's
But
no
we could-
requirement to set it for
I
the
don't want
year.
to-
I mean, it's flexible and it's. yeah,
Correct.
Okay,
Odds are nothing's
So
going
we're-
down.
that's.
The only
Well,
thing,
safe
right?
to say,
I
there's
think
gonna
that's
be
pretty
a
safe.
place
It's not going down.
But
no. It's not.
Why would you?
on the other hand, what's a $5 increase?
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Well, it is a big deal though,
Well-
if you lose the.
20,000.
Think
We-
that's
if you lose-
likely.
I-
I've never
You lose
seen
a
that
big chunk
happen.
of revenue stream,
I
so we're
understand
better
that.
off waiting and see.
Stand pat. Why play the card? Yeah. right.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't have to.
We
don't have to.
Agreed. Let Tiger stay in his sweet spot and let's see how this plays out.
So you want to, this is a August, September conversation probably.
Yeah, we'll go back and we'll do another analysis of our neighbors and see what happened
I
around.
like it. I
And
like
go
it.
from there.
Okay.
The only thing we ask is that when we make the change, we want it to go into effect in a month or two to let our,
November 1st.
let the.
Play it out. If we do have this conversation in
let the
September, you make
providers
it
know
no.
that
Yeah.
it's coming so they can let their clients know, their customers. know.
Okay.
Is
Yeah.
there a,
Beat monthly on it.
is there a target or an ideal fund balance that you would like to have in the sewer fund?
I would like to stay above $1 million, but
Above
no, I
1
don't
million.
have one. Yeah, we had talked about a $750,000 being the basement, I guess you would call it.
Right.
This is really a deferred maintenance in
This is-
some ways.
This is just in case we need money, we needed money
Yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah.
We have it.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, we were trying to stave off bonding. We were trying to use the
Mhm.
fund balance to
Mhm,
stave it
mhm.
off. We just couldn't do it.
No, that's okay. I think I know where you're going here. I wonder if though this is a little higher than you would normally have for it, largely because it's old equipment. I think, right, we're dealing with some things that are past their sell by date or use by date.
But what I'm thinking is that 5%. Of course, this assumes 5% every year for the next number of
Oh,
years,
yeah,
but you end up with over $2 million.
right, right. That's right.
Or if you,
Seems a little
if you go 2.5, you end up at your $1 million target.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not locking in for 5 years. I mean, don't.
No.
do we
No,
have
no,
to
no,
stay every
no,
year? So
no,
it's
no.
always better to get your 5% early and.
No.
then
And we don't have to
do it
keep
later.
increasing it. We can keep
Right.
it, we can flatten it out.
That's for you, Tiger. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very nicely
Well
done.
said.
Well said.
So what do you think?
Um,
Marsh?
So what are people thinking? If you look at the balance, 2.5, look, flip the other side. We're talking about $5 or $10 here. So it's pennies a day, literally.
Do a couple of early,
Yeah.
do middle of the road and then see where you are if you can,
Yeah.
throttle that back
That seems prudent.
after a couple of years.
5% doesn't seem justified.
That
Yeah.
seems a bit high.
And especially in light of our tax increase level,
I agree.
we ought to be thinking in terms of
Mhm.
the other two
Mhm.
categories.
Yeah, but if you get yourself at 3 3/4, you're making good progress this year. You might do that again and make good progress every year. And like I said, you can kind of then trail that off if what we know then and what we, the discipline we showed in the prior 2 years, you can maybe then drop it back down.
Well, the only question I have is inflation, your rate, Tiger, increased 5.9%. Inflation over last year is 6.8%.
Yeah.
If there's a year to justify an increase of 5%,
Now,
it's now.
Yep.
If we do 3 3/4 this year, inflation, which is down to 4% now, goes down to 1 or 2. It's very hard to justify 3.5% next year. Inflation is 1% or 2%. Not that I think it'll be there, but I'm just saying, if inflation is 6.8% this year, if we want to do it, this is the year to do 5%.
So
I'm the
5%
same way.
is the difference of in the category 1, right? Well, that's only 45. Category 2, well, it's goes from $15 to $20 increase for the year,
For the year.
right? So not even $2 a month,
Right,
not even 50 cents a week.
No.
Yep.
Right.
right. And we're
I mean, it sounds like a high percentage. It's just talking about really tiny dollars here.
It's the commercial impact
It's
that's
the,
really.
right, on the higher end of the commercial that it's a little significant, but other than that, no, on the category, basically the largest user.
Well, what says, maybe back to Tom's point, could we do 3.5 there?
You could do it. Yeah, you can do whatever you'd like. You can.
Yeah, I mean, look, Michael makes a good point on that, inflation, the carrying costs. I mean, the draw on the balance from the capital projects is in the first 2 years and the
Right.
rest of
Mhm.
that is then.
Mhm.
That's a good point. And-
So.
And you got to think inflation will be lower in
Yeah,
a year or
inflation,
two.
yeah.
So you
So-
can justify having a smaller increase, not an up.
And
Put
then
it
the
down.
right, the
Yeah.
capital
And we
will
don't
be
have to
behind you.
keep.
And the capital will be
increasing it.
behind you. You protected that.
That's the only reason. This is the year.
We had a pause last year, right? On.
Yeah, yeah.
We had a pause last
0%
year,
last year, right?
right, on the residential side.
So would you split it and do 375 and 5? I mean, or are we?
375 for the commercial
And
and
then
5 for,
5 for the,
What's the justification for a lower one for the commercial?
because last year we hit a
You had a 2% increase last
Middle of
year
the
on the
market.
commercial, but you
good
could,
question.
Market, right? If inflation 6.8%, they're not going to be surprised. Commercial people. are
Right. No,
sophisticated,
you're
they
right.
know
No,
what
you're
inflation is.
You're right. I think you go 5 across the board for parents. Yep. It's major, get a lot of new users.
Yeah.
coming
Yeah,
in.
look, if we did 5 this year with, kind of a clear understanding and intent that we're not locking ourselves
Right.
into year over year, the
Correct.
same amount. We're going to take a fresh look at it each year. Feels good. We'll make good progress this year. We may decide to do 5 again next year. We may, kind of pull that back a little bit, but let's see.
Yeah,
That makes
100%.
sense.
Yeah.
Especially once the studies,
Yeah, yeah.
we learn
that's
more.
true too. I don't want to go.
Okay.
I'm hearing leaning towards 5.
Five.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did we change the volume in here?
What is that? Is that,
Was it not working before? Oh,
so, all right.
I'm
well,
getting a lot of reverberation.
I didn't know.
Call the applause.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right.
We've never lost.
It feels
We've never lost money from any constable before. I don't
So-
think that's a high risk.
five.
The 400,000, I don't think that's a high
You're
risk.
talking about
The other, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Haven't-
but,
Hold that
Never-
thought. I
we've
think we're
never-
gonna leave it flat for a month or two.
okay,
Yeah,
well,
I think,
can, certainly, but I don't think that's.
and then to Bob's point, if everybody else goes up,
Yeah, but. we'll
Yeah.
have-
and we go
Yeah,
up.
The way
yeah,
to
that's
do it.
right.
On this,
Yeah.
This problem this year, so I need someone.
Exactly.
I mean, we could do 4% if everyone's uncomfortable with 5. I'm not sure.
5 seems.
Five's okay?
Five-
Okay.
five seems fine.
Especially seems fine.
Colm, you
line
got-
of the capital expenditure.
high inflation environment, I think 5%.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
And again, it's not materially punitive until you get to the very bottom of the biggest commercial.
Right.
And then it's $500. Still not that
And
bad.
that's
Okay.
one
I
year.
mean, even at 5, we're running the balance slightly down. over
Yeah, we're
time.
taking it down still. Down.
True. It's true. Okay.
All right, so
If there's consensus around that, I'll take a motion to,
Could be some.
all right, that's good. No, she's right. No, she's right. We should.
Deanna's here. She's got a 10-minute speech. She's ready to go. She took 2 weeks to write these comments. I'm Tucker. I'm sorry.
So,
You are,
so we should do.
you are 1000%.
No, I
correct.
think, yeah.
She's the sergeant at arms.
Channel 79. could be watching.
We've opened a public hearing.
Yeah.
And are there any comments? For everyone has a 2-minute window to speak.
Deanna, say something so we don't look so.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
This is really loud.
All right. I need a motion to close the public part of the meeting. So moved. Okay.
Moving your own motions. We're all good here.
You know, we're just not used to not having anybody come. I mean, it's just, we're off our game a little here. Okay. So with that all thought through and said, can we have a motion for a 5% increase in the sewer fee charge?
I'll move. Second.
Who was that?
Cole.
Bob and Com. All in favor? 5%? Say aye. Opposed? None?
Done.
So moved.
Thank you.
Good conversation.
Nice job and great.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thanks for
this. This
this.
analysis is outstanding as always. It really helps. Really, really does.
All right, so.
Well, let's vote on everything else now before